Hey everyone, so in this video we're going to go over the basics of R using RStudio. Let's get started. Okay, so we have our RStudio console. I have my code editor on the left hand side and my console on the right hand side. If yours looks a little bit different, that's totally fine. As long as you can write and see your code, that's all that matters. So let's jump right into it. The first thing we're going to do is make a comment. And a comment is a section of your code that doesn't really output anything to the console. It's just a way for you to reference what your code is doing. So the first comment is going to be just print text, and you denote a comment with this number sign. So everything that happens after the number sign is not going to be output to the console. And the next thing we're going to do is print text, like our comment says. So the way you print text is by using the print function. So that's print with two brackets, with an open and closed bracket. And everything you put inside that bracket is going to get output to the console. We are going to do two quotation marks. And within those quotation marks, we're going to do the ever famous hello world. So I'm just going to type that out within the quotation marks, within the brackets, inside of the print function, and then we're going to click run. And you can see in our console, it output hello world. So very, very straightforward. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is create a variable. A variable is a way to store information inside of your code without having to type it out every single time. So if I want to keep printing hello world, I don't want to have to type out hello world every single time. I can make my life a little bit easier by saving it to a variable. But first, let's create a comment. So let's create a comment saying that we're going to create a variable. And then what I'm going to do is create a variable called HW. And we're going to make that equal the text hello world. And the way that we assign values to variables is with this symbol here. So that is, I guess you would call it like an arrow or pointer or something, and then a dash. So we're going to click run. And you can see that our variable has been created. And you can test it. You can test the variable by doing HW in the console. So you can see right here, I'm putting it in the console and clicking enter. And you can see again, hello world has been saved. Now you can assign anything you want to a variable. It doesn't have to be text, it can also be a number. So let's do number var underscore var equal to 2. And then when we put that in the console, number underscore var, we can see it's been assigned the 2 value. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is some basic math. And we're going to do addition and subtraction, multiplication and division. And then we're going to create some exponents. Okay, so let's start off with addition and subtraction. It's very simple, literally 1 plus 1. Add two numbers together, and you can see in the console we have 2. We can even assign it to a variable. We can call it a, and we can call a 1 plus 1. So this should be a dash. So let's do that. And then we just click run, check the console, with it, put a in the console, 2, perfect. And the same thing goes for subtraction. So we can do 2 minus 1, perfect. And you can see in the console we have a 1. And then b equals 2 minus 1. And then put a b in the console, and we see we have a 1. So the next thing we want to do is learn how to multiply and divide in R. So let's create a new variable, C, and let's do a simple multiplication. So the way you multiply in R is by using the star symbol. You can see I have it in the middle here. And let's make sure that we multiply this correctly by checking the output of C. So we're going to run it, and we're going to check if it calculated correctly. Okay. You can see in the console we have 20, so that's how you multiply. Now let's do a simple division. So to divide, you have to use the dash, the forward dash, I guess the forward slash symbol. So let's test that in the console as well. And you can see in the console we have a 5. 10 divided by 2 is 5. And that's pretty much how you multiply and divide. Very straightforward. So the next thing we want to do is calculate exponents. So if we have 10 to the power of 2, how would you do that in R? And it's very simple. Instead of 1 star, you just use 2 stars. So let's go ahead and do that. So that's how you would calculate 10 to the power of 2 and save it to a variable. So let's go ahead and run that. It ran successfully, and now we want to go ahead and check what the output is. 100, which checks out. Now the next thing we're going to do is make a very simple plot, just an X and Y scatter plot in R. And I want you to be able to create this data and this chart yourself. So we're going to use one of the built-in data sets within R. So let's clear the screen out. I tried loading it using the dataset function, but it's actually the data function. So let's clear all of this out of the console. And you can do that by clicking the broom in the top right corner of the console, and it's all gone. So let's load the dataset first. And you can do that by using the data function. And the data set we're going to load is called MT cars. So MT cars. And this is just a data set of different types of vehicles, their horsepower, their mileage, their weight, and all of that good stuff. And I don't really know anything about cars, but I think this is a great example data set for us to play with. So let's load that. So we're going to go ahead and click run. And then when you pull open your environment, so click on environment, you can scroll down and you'll see the MT cars variable. You can ignore all the other stuff. That's from some of my other project work. If we want to view the MT cars data set, we can just type in view and then MT cars. Click run. And it'll pull open this viewer in which you can see the different types of cars, their miles per gallon, horsepower, weight, and a bunch of other stuff. So let's try creating a simple scatter plot where we compare the weight of the car, which is the WT column, versus the miles per gallon. So let's create some room for us here. And we pretty much just need to use the plot function. So that's just plot with a couple brackets. And then in there, we want to reference the data frame. So MT cars. And you can see in that little yellow window that pops up that we want to define the x-axis first. So I think for the MT cars data set, we should plot the weight on the x-axis and the miles per gallon on the y-axis, and then we can compare the two and see how they differ. So the way to select the column in the MT cars dataset is by using the $sign. And you can see if you have the latest version of RStudio, it'll let you select whichever column you want. So for the X column, we want to do weight, so I'm going to go ahead and click that. If it doesn't pop up, you can also just type in weight. And then we want to define the Y column. So the column of data that we want to plot on the Y axis. So we're going to do empty cars, and then I want to plot miles per gallon. So let's go ahead and select that. And that is pretty much it. You have to define the two, and then we just click run. And it'll show up in your plot window. So it's not the most beautiful chart. I mean, we would want to fix our x-axis and our y-axis, but it plots the data and it just gives you a very quick snapshot of what a chart in R looks like. And from what I can see here, it seems like the heavier the car, the lower the miles per gallon. So that makes sense because, you know, I would assume that you would need more gas if you have a heavier car. But that's pretty much it. I'm going to end the video here. If you want to learn more about R and get into some of the more complex plotting and data functions, subscribe. I will be posting videos regularly, and thank you for watching. And that's it. Thank you for watching, and if you want to learn more about R, feel free to click the subscribe button below. Bye.